Good afternoon, everybody. First, let me apologize for the lateness here. Had a little bit of a traffic issue coming from a different place today. 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪, despite having the retired fire chief in our entourage, still couldn't beat the traffic around. So, apologize for the lateness here, and appreciate everybody's patience. Let me get semi-organized here.
Mark didn't expect an introduction.
Sorry?
You did not expect an introduction.
No, I did not expect an introduction.
So he's getting organized.
I'm going to introduce myself.
Yes.
Let's do that. I'm Mark Barnhill. I'm Tom Gore's longtime business partner and an alternate governor for the Pistons on the NBA Board of Governors. I'm here today to introduce the two men on the dais to my left and turn it over to them for brief statements before opening the floor to questions from the assembled media, and looks like a good many civilians as well here today. Before that, just a few quick words of welcome to those who are here in the room and those who have stuck it out to watch on the live stream. First, to the beat writers who cover our team and the broader press corps represented here today, we appreciate your time and attention and look forward to engaging you in a little bit. Welcome. Second, to the Pistons employees who are here, I see a lot of you. We appreciate your commitment, your dedication, your passion, and your pride in representing our organization and the great city of Detroit. Welcome to you as well. To the players who are the heart and soul of our franchise, some of them represented here today, we appreciate your commitment, dedication, passion, hard work. We understand our responsibility to provide the tools and resources you need to compete at the highest level in this league. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Welcome to you as well. We have a number of special guests here. The Gore's family, Tom's wife Holly, their daughter Katrina and her husband Tyler, Holly's brother Duncan, who I mentioned a moment ago, and sister Heather. The Langdon family, Trajan's wife Tatiana and their sons 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪 and Troy, Pistons Vice Chairman 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗪𝗢𝗪, his wife Nancy. All of you are critical to our success. Welcome to you as well. More broadly, to the fans of this great franchise, we appreciate your passion for the Pistons, your support for these young players, and your insistence that we do what's necessary to restore this franchise to an elite level, competing with the best teams in the NBA. Tom and Trajan are going to talk about that in a moment, but welcome to you as well. And finally, to Trajan Langdon, our new president of basketball operations. Welcome, Trajan. This is ostensibly a news conference to introduce Trajan, but it is much more than that. It's a chance for him to talk about his vision and the important steps he's already taken since hitting the ground here 3 weeks ago. It's also a chance for Tom Gore, as the leader at the top of this organization, to talk about his vision and the important steps he's taking to fulfill his promise to make this team more competitive. So let's get started by asking Tom to offer his perspective, to formally introduce Trajan, and to talk about a little bit about the partnership they have already forged. After that, Trajan will say a few words, and then I'll step back up and invite questions from the press. Ladies and gentlemen, happy to introduce my friend and partner, the owner and governor of the Detroit Pistons, Tom Gore.
All right. Thank you, Mark. So my daughter told me today, you have so many thoughts brewing that you should write them down and just read a damn letter, Dad. I half agreed with you, Katrina, so I'll probably read some of it, but it's been quite a process. I'll talk about the process and all that stuff, but hey, I'm really excited to have Trajan here. Barely 30 days, yeah. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Really excited, Tatiana. I know you don't want to be part of any attention. She's in the back row, and but thank you. Thank you for supporting Trajan. And I think you two boys are here. I appreciate that very much. So welcome, everybody. It is great to be in front right here, right now. I do want to thank, as Mark mentioned, the fans and the community. I understand there's been a lot of demand on, our lack of performance and all that stuff, and I see the media out there shaking their head, yes. But I do appreciate how much you care about the Pistons. I appreciate your patience with everything. There's been a lot of uncertainty in these last 3-4 weeks for sure, and we have gone through some tremendous pain. One of the things I had to reflect on is the pain that we did have as an organization. And losing a lot wasn't nice for the players. I have a couple players up here. I can tell you the players have just tremendous grit. I mean, we have very fortunate to have the players. So I appreciate all the interest. I want to thank all the Pistons organization folks, our front office. Everybody's had to wait for this. One thing Trajan and I agreed on up front is before any press conference or anything, let's get some work done. We really saw eye to eye on that. And as you see, Trajan's done, a lot of work in just several weeks. I think, Trajan, this is an intro to you, but the truth is it's also a progress report, given that so much has been done already. We've had, XYZ hires, and you can talk about that. I think that's just something that I've been really impressed by. When I reflected before we did the search with Trajan, I thought about what we would need. We have always been willing to bring the best people in to Detroit. We have attracted the best people in Detroit. I found that actually the people that we bring in really like Michigan. And we talk all day about not being able to get free agents and all that stuff, but this is a tremendous home. And some of the people that we attracted that maybe aren't even with us anymore still live in Michigan. We have a lot to offer. And I understand the pain of last year. I mean, we feel it. Our family feels it. I know some people think I'm not attached enough to the organization, or let's just say detached. But, I want to give this organization everything I can. So as we kind of embarked on our search to find what it is that could give us the winning formula, the first thing I did was reflect. What's gone wrong? I don't think you can really decide on your future unless you look back and you take some accountability first and also understand what's gone wrong. I'm way off the speech notes. But when you reflect, you grow. One of the things I've appreciated about Trajan is his ability to think and listen. I don't think there's, great executives when you can't do that, and I've seen Trajan do that. So in my case, I had to look back and say, Tom, you've been willing to bring the most amazing people to Detroit, and I have. At the same time, we haven't won. So you have to look at yourself and question that. One of the things I think that we've really missed, and I take some responsibility for that, is a leader who can lead everyone. Not in pieces, not a part of the front office, not just the stadium, that can truly thread together and align people. And that's what I was impressed with Trajan about. Our first meeting, I think, was 6 hours, probably, maybe more.
Maybe more.
In the first 3 hours were about basketball. And that was pretty good. Trajan knows basketball. The next 3 hours or so was about a philosophy of business. So as I embarked, and Trajan didn't know that, I actually didn't tell, I tell Aaron a little bit, even our recruiter. I didn't want anything to be preempted with the kind of person I wanted. I realized what I wanted is what I've done my whole life, is a CEO. Platinum Equity is one of the premier private equity firms in the world. And when we look at leadership, we don't look at a piece of leadership. We look at leadership as a whole. Can they create action? Do they have, everybody's pretty smart in our world, in the basketball world, the business world, but do they have EQ? Do they have that emotional quotient? Because in a business, you have a vision, and then you have to figure out how to, execute on that vision. Then you have to understand people, and you have to inspire them. And then you have to thread together all the pieces at once. It's not that easy to be a CEO. I decided what I wanted is what I've done my whole life, is to recruit a CEO. Someone who had this quality, and they're not that available. And we interviewed many, many people. Aaron will tell you, Trajan will tell you, some of those meetings you don't know about, but I've probably had 50 meetings in the last several weeks. And I decided all the things that got me here is what I'm going to do now. I've always brought the best people to Detroit because I believe in this city, in the state. I probably put too much value on basketball and too much value on experience. Trajan got this job not by his experience. He has tremendous experience. But the many number of people we interviewed had a lot of experience as well. I just didn't think any one of them could execute at the level Trajan could. He listens. He has enough confidence to bring in tremendous people. He made a move on me when we were supposed to do a Zoom and said, hey, I'll come see you. Thought that was pretty good, Trajan. Because our first round was Zooms. I thought, okay, well, I like somebody who just wants to come see me. I said, sure. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a CEO and a president of basketball. And one of the things I haven't done with this organization yet, and I think I need to do, is be right involved and mentor Trajan and collaborate with each other. I think we've always brought good people in. And I think the things that, I have no problem reflecting. Again, the way you grow is how you lead. So that's a bit of the process. I'm pretty proud of the process. Trajan now, like the day after we had that big hug on a Thursday night, I don't even know what day it was.
I don't either. I don't know what day it is now.
I did say to Trajan, are you ready? Like, this is going to be difficult. I'm not sure I explained how difficult it was going to be. And he looked me back in the eye and said, that he is, and he has been. And I think the nice thing about having this conference now is we're not talking about what we're going to do. We actually have been doing it. I don't want to go kind of past this conference and stuff. I do appreciate Troy Weaver. Troy had the courage to, want to restructure our front office and so on, and we have cap room because of that. I want to thank Monty and his family for coming to Detroit and taking a chance on us. And I think there's a lot of good work in there that we might not see today. And, the decision was to try to really get a fresh start and move forward, given we had a lot of pain. And, my commitment to Detroit and trying to get us to the right place. I'm very excited to have Trajan. He has all the qualities that I look for, not in a basketball man, but as a leader. I think Trajan can do basketball, no problem. I think Trajan also has the skills to run a steel company. You don't have to.
I don't want to.
So Trajan, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very proud to announce our president here, introduce our president, I know, that's a hard word. I've said it to you 5 times, I look at your face. But the president of basketball and your family, Trajan, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, Tom, I'd have to admit I've never had an introduction like that before, so thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for your confidence and your belief in me. I've also never ended an interview or a meeting at 4:30 in the morning either, so thank you for that, too. That was definitely a test of my will and confidence. So, look, we've been working our butts off here for the past 3 weeks. It's been a lot of fun. It's been challenging, but it couldn't have been done without your support from day one. And before we get going here, I'm going to say a lot of thank yous, so please be patient with me because I wouldn't be here without the help of a lot of people. So first and foremost, thank you to my family, to my wife Tatiana and my boys for being here. I have moved them probably 4 or 5 times from city to city, organization to organization, and now we're here in Detroit, and we're incredibly thankful and incredibly excited for this move, for this opportunity. Thanks to my mother and my father back home in Alaska, my sister Trista, who's in DC, all my coaches growing up, my high school coach, Coach K, Randy Whitman and John Lucas, and all my coaches over in Europe. All my teammates throughout the years in high school, college, and in the professional ranks as well. Without them, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the man that I am today. And then after playing, starting with the best, starting with Coach Pop, and R.C. Buford gave me the opportunity as a scout, moved on with David Griffin in 2 different situations, both in Cleveland and most recently in New Orleans, and Sean Marks in Brooklyn as well. So without them, I wouldn't be the executive I am today. And so I thank them for everything that they've allowed me to do, allowed me to grow. And thanks to the people that are here now. Tom kind of alluded to it before, but I got to work right away targeting individuals to come here with me, and they all said yes. They all took a leap of faith, had confidence in me. So thanks to everybody who is here and is going to go on this journey with me. Like I said, it is a leap of faith, but your confidence in me is truly humbling. And Arn, thank you for your confidence in me and your support, you and Billy's, in this transition period. Thank you so much. And to the whole staff that was here before I got here, I gave you my vision of what we're going to do here, how we're going to execute. And I said, my door's open if any of you do not want to do this. And you have all stayed. So thank you for your support and confidence in me, and we're going to do this together. We've got a lot of hard work ahead of us. We've done a ton of it in the last 3 to 4 weeks, but we got a lot more. But it's going to be fun. The one thing about my vision here is that I want us to do this together. I want to do it with high character, hardworking, competitive people with a Detroit Pistons mindset first. We have a lot of good people that have come in. We have a lot of good people that are here, and we're going to do this thing together. We're going to do this thing together through and through. We're going to collaborate. We're going to communicate. And when we win, we're going to feel joy. And I want everybody in this building, when we lose, to feel pain. That's what we're going to do. And that's what I'm about. I am no ego. I want the players to have all the confidence in me, and they're the ones that are going to get the credit here. So, Stanley, Tosan, thank you for coming today. I think we have a really good group of young men who are returning, and we're going to continue to add high-character young men to this group as well. And our goal is to compete night in and night out, put a product on the floor and a team that the city is proud of, that the city wants to support, because that's the kind of team the city deserves. Since I left San Antonio, I haven't seen as many banners in a facility like we have here. Those World Championship banners and the players that are on the side it's inspiration to all of us to come in here knowing the history of this franchise and trying to build every day to get it back there. So thanks to everybody that's here. Tom, thanks again to you. And I look forward to continue to build and grow this thing back to where it should be.
So,
Okay. Now the fun starts, your questions. Let me start with kind of the beat writer's corner here, and then we'll move along. I see there's a microphone there. Let's go ahead and pass it on. But let's just go ahead and start with James, and then we'll move throughout. Go ahead, James.
Appreciate it,
And
Mark.
I'm sorry, just for Trajan's, for all of our benefit, but for Trajan especially, just identify by name and affiliation so we know who we're talking to.
Appreciate it, Mark. James Edwards, The Athletic. Trajan, welcome to Detroit. Tom, good to see you. One question for each of you. Trajan first. Obviously, there's not many of these jobs in the world, but the organization obviously has struggled the last few years. As you were trying to sell yourself to Tom, were you looking for them to sell them to you as well in order to take that? And then for you, Tom, you mentioned having kind of one voice, one plan. In previous years, do you think that wasn't the case, and where do you think where do you think that went wrong, and how are you trying to rectify that in terms of this new structure too?
Want me to go, or you want to?
sure, go ahead, yeah.
Good question. Thanks, James. Pleasure to meet you. Like you said, there's only 30 of these, and it's been my my dream to run one of these one day. I knew, the time would come at some point when hopefully things would match up between myself and an owner that had trust and faith in me, in a situation that I thought I could really help in. I think that has to be the match for somebody to really succeed. And I thought the timing was great in this situation. I thought Tom and I really connected over, again, some late night meetings and some good phone calls. But I think the connection was there, and just understanding kind of where this franchise was and what this franchise needed at this given time. And I think some of those things that this organization needed, I'm able to provide. I'm pretty humble, I'm a pretty modest guy, but I think I stand for some things, and I'm pretty good at some things that this organization needs. So I think the fit and the timing at this present time for the Detroit Pistons organization and myself really aligned, and that's what attracted me to this opportunity.
And James, I'll try to remember your question. I don't think we've had the caliber of leadership at the Pistons as we do with Trajan. As I said, I looked at this the way I've looked at my whole life. 30 years platinum equity. We built one of the best companies ever, world leader. I looked at this as Trajan as a CEO. So I don't think we've had a situation where somebody can thread all of those things together. And without taking anything away from Trajan on his basketball knowledge and being a basketball person and a basketball man, he's a CEO. Because we can all talk about what it takes to win in basketball, but there's so much to thread together. So I would say, as much as we've had great people, Stan Van Gundy was here as a great man, but then he was coach and, head of the front office and so on. And Troy, who did good work for us, he just loved basketball. He loved the court and all that stuff. So we've brought good people, but I think what we have here in Trajan is somebody who can thread everything together. Our historic franchise, our players, our tenacity to win. And I think Trajan just has this ability to connect all the dots. So I think as much as we have always wanted to get the best people here, you do need a leader day to day. And so I'd say Trajan just brings that skill, and he listens really well. And so he just got a lot of those things that I don't think we've ever put in place here. And to me, as I embarked on this search, I committed to myself that I would do it the platinum way, not just the basketball way. And Trajan, to me, is the platinum way. He embodies all those leadership skills that, to me, I look for.
Okay, James, I started in the middle of the row. You want to move back to the beginning and move right to left? Oh, Mari's got it. Okay, we'll go that way. Go ahead.
My name is 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪 II, and I'm the Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. Trajan, nice to meet you, and Tom, good to see you. Trajan, when you look at this roster, obviously they had a recent #1 pick in Cade Cunningham and some young guys. Just what's your initial assessment of just where this team is from a talent standpoint and where it needs help? And then Tom, you mentioned the clean slate earlier, but what made it important to move forward this summer with a new coach and then also a new front office leader in place?
Thanks for the question. Pleasure to meet you. Obviously, I've only been here for 3 weeks, and to be honest with you, we were in the West, which was a gauntlet, and so we saw the Detroit Pistons twice, and so I really wasn't heavily focused on this team last year, to be honest with you. But what I've seen in studying the team as I was going through the process with Tom, and what I've seen since I've been here are young men that love to be in the gym and they love to work. Obviously, we're a young team. I think our average age is between 22 and 23 years old. But these are good young men. They're passionate about the game. They're excited about the future. And they've been in here working. They've been in here working their tails off. I've got to meet individually with a lot of them. They've been very responsive. I've shared my vision with them about where this team is going, what I'd like to do with the team. Not from a roster standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint, and what my expectations are going to be from each and every one of them. And they've all been very, very excited about that. And so I think the vision is aligned there. I will continue to be having these conversations and expectations and hold these guys accountable. But they are willing to work. And I think there's a lot of talented guys. I don't think they're just good human beings or good basketball players. And I think that's the foundation of creating, of guys to reach their potential. And these guys do have potential, so I'm excited about working with them and then bringing some players in, whether it's through trade and free agency, to kind of bolster their growth. And let's see what the potential of these young men are.
Mari, yeah, so I think as far as, that's good, Trajan. That's great. That's what we talked about. I would say that as far as moving forward and so on, I after assessing everything, I really felt that the best choice for the organization was a fresh start. In our mistakes in the past has nothing to do with just one person. There's a lot that I think accumulated, and I do think we just needed a fresh start. We have a great core of young players. By the way, high character young players, really tremendous young players, and I've seen a few of them over the past few months, and Cade included. So we've got a lot to offer, I think, but at the end of the day, I thought that we needed a fresh start, and we needed Trajan to lead with a fresh start. Sometimes you can get held back as an organization on your history or your past. And I believe in Trajan so much as an executive, I didn't really think that we should be held back at all. And it's not to say that we didn't have tremendous people that contributed. End of the day, my full assessment, not just Trajan's, because Trajan's only been here 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 10
Feels like
weeks.
3 months. But
3
yeah.
years.
Exactly.
So, already, because we talk a lot, Trajan and I, before we even signed our deal on that Friday, we hugged on Thursday around 4:30 a.m. And when I asked him, do you have a stomach for this pain that's going to just come about you? And you should call Tatiana maybe. And he said, no, I've talked it through. So he's ready. He was ready for anything, and I think we are too. So it's kind of the big decision we made. Yep.
Okay, who'd you pass to, Omari? Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Detroit Trajan. Good afternoon, Mr. Goers. My name is Corey Woods, Pistons beat writer for 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪. First for you, Trajan. Coming from an organization that's been to the playoffs for the past couple of years, when you look at the Pistons, how far away do you think they are from turning this franchise around? What's the first step? And for Mr. Goers, we've seen your dedication and heard your dedication into turning the franchise around. How confident are you this time around that the organization will be closer towards reaching that success that you've been chasing?
Corey, nice to meet you. Really good question. I think for us I don't think there's a time frame of when we want to get back to the playoffs. I think for us is creating a foundation for our young players, a foundation of winning, which means creating an environment of winning. And you have to do that first before you can actually win between the lines. You got to practice and compete at a certain level with a certain fiber of human beings in this facility every day. And that means not only the players, it means the coaching staff, it means front office, it means performance staff. We all have to help out in the development of our young players. So I think creating that foundation is paramount, that we do that first. And then we can't skip steps in terms of the development of this team, in terms of creating an environment, again, a winning environment, which means holding these guys accountable every day to winning plays, to the smallest things of being on time. And not only being on time on the court, but being on time on a rotation, being on time on a block out, texting somebody back in time, returning their call in time. That all those things impact a winning environment, which impacts a winning team. So for us, again, it's that foundation that has to be set, then it's bringing in the right people, right? And at the end of the day, we have to have enough talent to win at a high enough level. And we do have young talent here, right? So it's creating an atmosphere of how do we have that young talent reach their potential. And I think if the young talent that we have here reaches their potential, we have a chance to be pretty special. But again, we're not going to skip steps. I can't give you a timeline. When we get there, we'll get there.
So, I mean, look, you've heard some things from me before that, where I'm confident. I'm extremely confident that this partnership with Trajan is going to work, that it is going to turn our franchise around. I think the mistakes of the past is thinking that a magic bullet will just handle things. As Trajan just said, it's about the details. It's about everyday leadership. It's not even just about one player. Bring the best player, who knows what happens. That's just one player. And the thing is, bring a team together is what it's all about. So I'm confident because I haven't looked at Trajan just as a basketball man. I really have looked at him as, a leader. And he has both, high intellectual skills in basketball, but also how to handle people and inspire people. We could be 100 or 200 people here, and if we don't thread together, we're not going to get momentum. And leaders are important to thread together momentum, and he's in the details. There's nothing high level about what Trajan does. Before, as I said, he texted me, I think he got his deal done on a Tuesday, we hugged on the Thursday before, but on Friday morning, he texted me what we talked about the night before, the 10 or 12 things to do. Greatness is built on the details, and you can't skip those. So I'm extremely confident, and I go back to everything that's ever got me in a place from a little boy from Flint here. What got me here is the details. It wasn't my personality, okay? I mean, I was a nice kid, but it wasn't that. It was really being focused on the details. And it wasn't even my vision and direction, because that's only going to get you so far. You need the details. Trajan is in the details, and then he has an ability to be strategic and have vision, and then an ability to speak with people to inspire them. So I'm very confident. Yeah, I am. I'm very confident, yeah.
Okay, Keith, you're next.
Thank you. Trajan, I know you've got a lot on your plate right now with the number 5 pick in the draft, more cap room than any other team in the league. But there's also a coaching search to go on. I'm just wondering, will the coach search, I don't want to say take a back seat, but do you have to prioritize those other things given the time crunch? What's the time frame maybe for having a coach in place? And is there are there certain qualities in a coach you're looking for that fits this team at this particular time in their development?
Thanks, Keith. Really good question. And I think Tom said the word like thread. So we're threading a lot of this stuff right now in terms of it's a compressed amount of time that we have to actually get organized, get into the weeds, get detailed, and understand how we're going to execute, not only on the draft, not only on free agency, not only on trades that are thrown our way, but also on the head coach search. So when you ask the question, is it going to take a back seat? Absolutely not. We have to find time to meet on these things every day, understand the time every day that makes it most efficient to discuss these things and execute on them. But believe me, we are doing it all day, every day right now with this group of human beings right here. They've been incredible. The amount of work that we've gotten done in the last 3 weeks has been amazing. If you look around this room, everybody's part of it. Everybody's going to have to continue to be part of it for us to get across the finish line, but we will. Whatever we do in the draft, we'll execute the way that we want, whether we pick at 5 or somewhere else. We'll execute in free agency, and we're going to find a good head coach. As to the timing of that, I have no idea. When that time comes, we'll know who that coach is. I think to answer your other question as to the characteristics, Tom has talked about leadership. That's incredibly important. Finding a man that can lead this team going forward and is aligned with us, is aligned with Tom, is aligned with myself and my front office on how we want to execute going forward and how we want to build this organization. I think somebody is a really good communicator is important. Somebody who is a good collaborator is important. And I don't mean just with the front office, I mean with performance team. I mean with our nutritionist, with our mental skills coach. I mean, there has to be collaboration throughout this organization at all times, so we're aligned. And I think somebody who is really good into development and is passionate about it. We talked about our young players, our young core, and they're good young men, but they're talented. So we have to have somebody who has the patience, but also has the desire to develop these young players and not skip steps. So those are some of the qualities that we're looking for in a new head coach.
Okay, next in line. Oh, Bob, it's gone all the way down to the end. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Winowski, columnist for the Detroit News. For Tom, you're obviously a very successful businessman, and I imagine you're not used to having your competence challenged as a leader. You had to look inside yourself. Did you feel like you were listening to too many voices? You keep talking about one whole leadership. Did you listen to too many people or the wrong people, or you didn't know who to listen to? And do you think that's been resolved?
Well, I'd say that, I like good voices. I like to collaborate. And then I think we needed some day-to-day leadership to thread that together. I'm not sure we've ever really had that. So we've had great people. I don't live a life of listening to voices and making the wrong decisions. But we need help threading it together. And I think it's resolved. We have a president of basketball here. It's resolved. And Bob, I am really confident about it. And again, as I reflected, as many good people as we've had here, every day this needs to get glued together, every single day. It's not just a strategy. Your strategy and vision will never get executed if you're not in it day to day. And so I feel like, yes, it's resolved. When we, in our however many weeks we've been together, we have handled more decisions than I've ever handled at the Pistons. I think we've always handled getting the right person on board, and then the execution. You would count on somebody for that, and those would be different pieces. But I think the way Trajan has already threaded the organization together, this building is thriving with the arrival of collaboration and alignment in terms of where we're headed. So I feel good about it. I don't know if that answered your question, Bob.
Well, when you're talking about handling the day-to-day, you're talking about Trajan doing that, not necessarily you day-to-day.
No, not me. I mean, unless you want me to, Bob. But
No.
no.
I'm just wondering, you never know
Not
if an
me.
owner is leaning on somebody he hires too much, or you let him do his job.
I always let them do their job. But a CEO has to exist to do the job, and it's not my job to thread it together. It's the person in the hallways that threads it together, which is Trajan in this case. And he talks to his leaders, and that gets thread together. And those leaders get thread together to the floor. That's how it works. And that's why I said, like, I'm looking for a CEO.
Okay, terrific.
Does that answer
Let me
it, Bob?
pause. Can I use a prerogative? We have a student journalist here, Ethan Dorsett from the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Ethan, I'd like to give you a chance. Do you have a question for either Tom or Trajan?
Thank you. I'm Ethan Dorsett, graduate from Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Also, I'm a member of the Platinum Equity Mentor Group, Tom.
Oh, good.
I have a question for Trajan. Looking forward, what do you most look forward to doing or making happen first for this team and this organization?
Thank you, Ethan, and congratulations. What do I look forward to doing first? Really good question. I think, again, establishing a foundation and an environment where these players come into every day and they feel like they can be the best versions of themselves. Not only every day, but for their whole career. Like they know coming in here, they're going to get the best from us. They're going to get the best from the coaching staff. They're going to get the best from performance. And all of that together is going to allow them to be the best possible versions of themselves, not only as a human being, but also as a basketball player. And they're going to feel like they're going to have the best possible chance to reach their potential in this building with this organization every day. So that's what I'm excited about, and that's what we're going to create here for our players.
Okay, terrific. Who's next?
Hi, Rachel 𝗙𝗢𝗪𝗓, CBS News Detroit. The question for Trajan, just to get to the basketball of it all, like previously mentioned with the cap and draft and resources you do have, how much or at all are you prioritizing adding to this team on the trade market this summer?
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate your question. I think it's a really good question. I think that is one thing that we are looking for, is with the cap space that we do have, is bringing in contracts maybe from other teams and gathering assets as well. And hopefully with those players that come in, they can, as I've said before, they can bolster the growth of our youth. So if we can kind of interweave those two things, I think those would be things that would make our summer successful.
Okay, next. Go ahead.
Hey, Tom. Again, Trajan, we met earlier, but again, welcome to Detroit. You know, Tom and Trajan, you both mentioned talking about the whole building. I guess speak to the importance of synergy between front office, coaching staff, business operations, all the different functions that make the Pistons go on game nights and everything. So just speak to the importance of the synergy between all areas of the Detroit Pistons.
Here we go. I can speak to it really quickly, and then I'll let Tom follow up. As you can see, there's a lot of people here that do great things, and we're going to continue to do better things in this organization. They're incredibly important for the success of this organization. But for that to happen, we need to all be on the same page. We need to be walking down that same path all the time. We need to be talking to ourselves. It's a long season, and it's a lot of hard work. And during that season, we're seeing each other more than we're seeing our families. So we need to have fun when we come into this building. There needs to be joy. But we also need to hold ourselves accountable all the time to be the best versions of ourselves, right? So this organization is going to be about the 15 players at the end of the day. We have to talk to ourselves every day about, what am I doing? And is this the best thing for our organization and our 15 players? Is this going to impact our 15 players to the highest ability that it can? And if the answer is no, then we need to think about it. If the answer is yes, then we keep going. But I think everybody in this building has to be thinking that way. And so the collaboration, the communication to make sure we're all on the same page is incredibly important. So we can't function in silos across our organization, which means there has to be communication all the time. So that synergy that you're talking about has to be communication and collaboration and everybody feeling a part.
Yeah, I echo, Trajan is talking about, making sure we communicate at all levels. So synergy is a nice word, but the real word is integration. How are we going to integrate all of our pieces and then alignment? So those are really the two things that I look. True synergy happens when you have truly integrated folks, not in a silo, and then aligned on the same goals, which is Trajan's talking about, which is the goals are to make the players better. But that's the ultimate goal. If we get the players better and we have a better team, you know, as a franchise, we're going to be better. But we got to get down to the basics. Again, one of the things that impressed me with Trajan is like detailed plans on all that stuff. No high-level strategy. It goes down to performance. It goes down to training. It goes down to this and that. But we're aligned on what the right goals are, the same goals are. So, but again, synergy is what comes out of integration. When you integrate and you don't live in silos, silos are good for like, hey, let's focus on this. But then eventually we got to get together and integrate. So again, we're on the same page. We have, what you asked, Vince, we probably have talked about it, 100 times by now. And that's why Trajan's in the seat.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Brandon Dent from Woodward Sports. Hello, Mr. Gores and everybody else in attendance. And welcome, Trajan, to you and your family as well.
Thank you.
I have one quick question for both of you all. Obviously, there's going to take some time in between when this vision comes to fruition. What is the message that you want to convey directly to fans, supporters, season ticket holders? And one question for you as well, Trajan. What are some of the things that attracted you to and ultimately led to accepting this job with the Detroit Pistons? And what here currently makes you optimistic about the road ahead?
Well, thank you for the question. I'll attack the second one. I think in speaking to Tom through the process, I could really feel his passion for the organization. I've done my homework to understand how much that he has given to the organization in terms of resources, in terms of thoughtfulness, in terms of wanting this organization to be great. In talking to him and spending time with him, I knew that if I could come in with his confidence in me, I think and the people that I was going to bring in, we'd have a chance to get this thing back going in the direction that it needed to be. I can't do this myself. So Tom has been incredibly supportive, and Arn as well, in me hiring the people that I have. It's a tremendous group of people in every department. I brought in the scouting department and the cap department, performance, and we are all the ones that are going to elevate this organization from where it is now, and hopefully create sustainable success. This isn't about one run. This is about being successful, creating a system, creating processes in this organization, which is going to allow the Detroit Pistons organization to be successful for a long time, and hopefully well past me and well past us being here. And what else did you ask? I'm sorry, that was your first question.
Yeah, message to the season ticket holders, fans, and observers. The Pistons have been steadily top 20 in the league, despite kind of the misfortune of the court.
Yeah.
What's the message you want to convey directly to them, since you know that maybe some time to the vision comes to fruition?
I think in digging into the people of Detroit, the fans of the city, I know they're a very proud fan base. And obviously having seen and witnessed 3 world championships, there are expectations here. And so I also know that they've been supportive in the down times of the Pistons as well, in the years where it's gotten dark. I've even heard last year during the losing streak, they were still coming out and being supportive. So we appreciate all that support, but know that we're going to put a group of talented young men on the court that are going to compete every night. And that Detroit Pistons uniform on will mean something to those players. It will mean something to this entire organization in terms of the expectation of the product that's put out on the court every night. We might not win every night, but we're going to start playing some winning basketball every night. And whoever we hire as a head coach is going to partner with us with that same vision, and we're going to attack that every day in playing winning basketball. That's what I know. That's where I've come from. And that's what I want to see here in Detroit for a long time.
Trajan, Mike Stone, 97, won the ticket. On the floor, how do you change this team from one of the poorest shooting three-point teams in the league to the way the league is now, where you need athletic wings and guys who can shoot? And the other question is about Cade Cunningham, he's obviously the highest profile player on this team. Your impressions of him, and is he someone that can be the cornerstone of a championship franchise?
I'll answer your first question. I think spacing always helps. I think players who can shoot the ball help, so that's what we're obviously going to attack. So I think if you have those two things on the floor, as well as guys that understand the game, it's going to really cut down on turnovers and you're going to shoot the ball better, right? You're going to get better looks. You got to have people that make the right decisions, the easy decisions, and play well together. So obviously, like I said, Pistons first mentality and being unselfish. I think all those things will impact the way we play the game, and you'll see our turnover rate go down, and hopefully, with the help of our new shooting coach, Fred Vinson, there in the back, our three-point percentage go up. So we're going to get to work on that right away, but that's kind of the roster that we envision kind of putting together. As for Cade, he and I have had some really good conversations thus far. High character human being, mature beyond his years, and I think a big-time basketball player at a young age, obviously averaging 23 and 8 assists last year. We're hoping to put a group around him that can bolster his growth, but not make it as hard for him to do the things that he had to do this last year, but also help him impact and help other players get better. So not having him work so hard, but have other players help him so he can help the other players as well, because he is an unselfish player who I do think has a chance to really be impactful at a high level and be the best player. In terms of a championship level, who knows? I really, really hope so. But we're not going to start talking about championships here. That's a long ways away when you start talking about foundational growth.
Okay, maybe two more questions, and then for anybody we haven't got to, we'll do some stand-ups after the fact, and you can talk to them. Go ahead.
Yeah, Trajan, of course, your last two stops were in New Orleans and Brooklyn. Just in your roles with those franchises, sort of what did you learn and what do you hope to take from those franchises that you believe could be translated and work here as well?
I think a lot of the things that we've talked about, which is you can't skip steps. You got to really evaluate what you have right now, evaluate where we are, and be completely objective about that. Look in the mirror with our roster, look in the mirror with our culture, understand what we need to change right now before we can grow. And so I think we're in the process of doing that now. And then just make systematic additions and changes to the roster where we feel like it's something that where the pieces fit. It's a roster where we think the players can help each other grow and reach their potential. And ultimately, it has to be highly, highly competitive, not only in the games that you see every day, but in practice every day as well. The only way that these guys are going to reach their potential is if they're competing against each other at a high, high level every day. And when I say competing, I just don't mean on the basketball court. I mean in the weight room. They're competing about recovering better every day so they can take their level up the next day too. So this has to be an organization where we compete at the highest level, and the expectations are going to have to be that every day. And so the head coach we're going to bring in is going to have to be somebody who inspires our players to do that as well. And I'll be aligned with that coach in the same way to get the best out of our players. That's the only way we're going to get to a championship level.
Okay, one more. Go ahead, Corey.
Tom, there's been a series of string of head coaching changes since you've assumed ownership. Just out of this next hire, what are you personally looking for yourself?
And it's something Trajan and I have talked about is, I think just developing the players. I think that's really important. We have an amazing young core group of players. And then, of course, we want sustainability. But it starts with us. I think we should be demanding on whoever the next coach is and so on in terms of what we want to accomplish. And as much as we want to win, we want to develop these young players. We do have a great crew of young players. We have a lot of cap space. Trajan's going to be very smart about that. We have to surround our young players with players that complement them. So what I'm looking for is progress. in progress to a sustainable place of greatness. And I know it's going to take some work. It has to start at our front office. We can blame we don't have three-point shooting. We can blame we don't have this player, that player. We can blame it's not the right coach, it's not the right manager. We can blame the owner. There's a lot of excuses. We just got to get in the details. And what I'm looking for is an organization that's in the details, that once they see a problem, they handle it. We don't sit around waiting about it, and we don't sit around complaining about it. I want a sustainable organization is really what, to me, I'm shooting for. And back to what Trajan said, is our focus should be on our players. Them getting better and what we do with our players matters to our progress. There's no magic wand here other than getting the details. That's what I'm looking for. And how much we win, how we win, all that stuff, we have to just be in the details. And that's ultimately, I don't know if that answers your question, but to me, that's what I'm looking for. A sustainable organization that Detroit could be proud of and consistently being competitive.
Okay, everybody, thank you very much for your attention and your patience today. This is an exciting first step in a new era under Trajan. We've got a lot going on over the next couple of weeks, the draft, the coaching search, the free agency period, the use of that cap space. So stay tuned. In the meantime, again, thanks everybody for being here today.